my God. The San Francisco Giants just went out and made an absolutely insane move. 13 years, $350 million going to Carlos Correa. Wow. The last few hours on Twitter with the rumors have been absolutely insane because the Mets all of a sudden started to get involved. Apparently, Francisco Lindor was telling Steve Cohen, I want Correa to play third base for the Mets, and Cohen was getting involved. But as we know, he did not end up signing with the Mets. Sad. He signed with the Giants on a $350 million deal. This is one of the biggest deals in Major League Baseball history. This is the biggest deal that's ever been given out to a shortstop, and it goes to Carlos Correa, who bet on himself this past year, taking a shorter-term contract with the Minnesota Twins with opt-outs, turning down that money from the Houston Astros, and boy, oh boy, did it pay off. Oh my goodness, San Francisco Giants, you guys are making moves. You just got your franchise shortstop. This is incredible for the Giants, and I can't wait to talk more about it. Even though, like, I'm sad he didn't go to the Mets, this is really, really interesting for the Giants and them moving forward because this opens up a lot of possibilities with this team. Not to mention they've brought in a bunch of other good players like Mitch Haniger this offseason, Sean Manaea, who I talked about yesterday, and they signed Ross Stripling today to a very, very smart contract, which I will also cover in today's video. Ryan Yarbrough signed with the Kansas City Royals, briefly talk about that, and any other news and rumors that come up, I will definitely mention them. Like, I think Max Fried trade rumors have come up, which sounds crazy, but we'll talk about that briefly at the end. But as we know, today's video is about Carlos Correa signing with the Giants, and let's talk about what that can look like for the Giants, Carlos Correa, and their future. In terms of Carlos Correa, he is one of the 5 best shortstops in Major League Baseball. I think there's no doubt about it. While his defense did take a weird step back last year in Minnesota after being one of the best fielders in 2021. I mean, the guy won the Platinum Glove in the American League. I still think that glove is really good. Like, I think last year was more of an outlier rather than the disgustingly good defensive year. He obviously can rake. He quietly put up a really good year last year. It went by the wayside because he played for the Twins out in Minnesota, smaller market, not as much attention, and the Twins ended up stinking this year, so you didn't really get to see Carlos Correa on the national stage. But in about 136 games, 22 homers, 24 doubles, 64 RBIs, hitting .291 with a .366 on base, .467 slugging, .834 OPS plus at 140 after an OPS plus 131 season in 2021, of course, with the Astros, and he's only 28 years old. So while these 13 years, I mean, it's crazy, it's nuts. That's going to sign Carlos Correa through, I believe, his 42-year-old season, where he'll be 42 years old when the contract expires. That sounds nuts, but when you think about the landscape of baseball and what it looks like now and what it's going to look like in 5 years, 10 years, 13 years, this might not really matter at all. And I think a lot of owners you're starting to see now throwing out these mega contracts because of what just happened in the CBA this past year. The fact that the CBA is turning over again in the next few years, the fact that there's going to be constant changes, there's going to be expansion, there's going to be more money coming into baseball, bigger TV deals. I mean, baseball is growing as a whole. I think these longer term contracts, I don't want to say safe or smarter, but they aren't as bad as they were once viewed. 13 years from now, keep that in mind. When Carlos Correa is 40, 41, it's going to be 2036, 2035. I'm going to be 38, 39 years old at the end of this contract. That is terrifying to say out loud. I don't want to think about that. I've got enough gray hairs on this one weird line in my head. By that time, I'm probably going to have a full head of gray. But I got to respect the Giants going out and signing their guy, doing what it takes to get him, because like I said, he is one of the best shortstops in Major League Baseball, and they're adding him to a team that a few years ago had a really good run, won the National League West, beat the Dodgers, and should be a playoff team this upcoming season. I mean, the National League is so loaded. All the good teams are really, really good just across Major League Baseball. There's no like fake good teams, it feels like, anymore. If you're good, you're really good. Shout out to Steve Cohen. It feels like Steve Cohen and the way that the Mets and the Phillies and the Padres are spending, and even the Dodgers in years past, is kind of elevating everybody to the point where it's like, we have to go spend money. And this is exactly what you want to see as a baseball fan. This is exactly what you want to see if you're a player. This is exactly what is good for baseball, money being spent. And I really do think Carlos Correa is a great investment. So far in 8 seasons, the dude basically has a 40 baseball reference WAR, which is disgusting. He's on a Hall of Fame path, no doubt, if he keeps this up. He is one of the better shortstops in the game, and in this lineup, it's looking pretty good. Looking a lot better with Carlos Correa there. Not to mention, they've had a pretty good farm system, and they do have a guy by the name of Marco Luciano, who many of you have probably heard about. Very similar name to mine, but not the same. I wonder what this does with him. Do you now have the ability to trade Marco Luciano for maybe another big player, maybe a big pitcher, maybe another big bat? Getting Carlos Correa, sticking him at shortstop for the next 13 years, years really just gives the Giants a good core piece to build around moving forward, and Farhan Zaidi is going to have a field day. Also, does this move Brandon Crawford to second base or third base? That's a legitimate question. Or does Brandon Crawford go to the bench? Maybe you Giants fans can help me out. I mean, it's currently 11:30 at night. I was getting ready to go to bed, but I kept the phone on. I had a feeling Correa was signing tonight. As soon as the Mets got involved, I went, this is happening. And even though the Mets didn't sign him, I am happy to record this one, especially because it happened tonight and not tomorrow when I'm dropping the 12 days of MLB rankings, the first video being catchers. I mean, this is just such a sick move. This is such a sick move. Yeah, 13 years is nuts. $350 million is a lot, but one, it's not your money. Two, he's worth it. He's really good. He's one of the best shortstops in baseball. Three, every single owner in Major League Baseball pretty much can make this contract. Every single owner in Major League Baseball can spend this money. So props to the Giants for going out and doing it. They were going after Judge. They've been going after Rodon. Maybe they still do get Rodon. They've been in talks with a lot of these big free agents, and they finally got their big fish in Carlos Correa. And I just fully expect this is going to be a great contract. As long as Carlos Correa stays healthy, the Giants are getting their franchise shortstop for the next 13 years. And as weird as this is going to sound, he will go into the Hall of Fame as a San Francisco Giant. That's weird. That's weird to think about, that Carlos Correa will go into the Hall of Fame if he makes it as a Giant. And to be honest, he is very much on pace to do so. He's an incredibly talented player, and this is a great move. On top of signing Ross Stripling today, which was kind of an under-the-radar, quiet move. It was a quiet day in baseball up until, well, tonight. And they signed Ross Stripling to a 2-year, $25 million contract. Stripling looked great out in Toronto last year. He looked fantastic. I really wanted the Mets to be in on him too. You should have wanted your team to be in on him. He's a really good pitcher, and the Giants were able to get him for dirt cheap. Again, I mentioned it yesterday with Sean Manaea and all the moves that they make. They have a pitching lab. We've seen what they've done with Gausman. We saw what they did with Rodon, making him better. We saw what they did with Alex Cobb this past year. Logan Webb, Tony Disco, everybody they get their hands on just becomes better. They had Jacob Junis, who was kind of just a nobody, not really, he was an afterthought. They made him throw 75% sliders, and he was really effective last year. The Giants have some special sauce, something cooking in the lab when it comes to pitching, and I fully expect Ross Stripling to benefit from this massively. You know what else I just thought about? Correa and the Dodgers for the next 13 years. Carlos Correa is like one of the biggest villains in Dodger fan world, in the Dodger universe, and now he's going to be playing against the Dodgers, competing in the National League West for the next 13 years. The whole cheating scandal with the Astros, this is amazing. This is going to make baseball so cool. This is making baseball so sick. We're going to have real rivalries again. I love it. I absolutely love it. You got to respect that the National League West is loaded. The National League East is loaded. The Cardinals are really good. The American League East is loaded. American League West is loaded. The Central has to pick up the slack a little bit, but boy, oh boy, is it going to be fun to watch these races, and the National League West is going to be one of them. Giants still have a little bit more work to be done. Like I said, they still need a few more pieces, but they are building a really good team, and they got their core. Carlos Correa at shortstop. I mentioned Ryan Yarbrough signing a 1-year deal with the Kansas City Royals. Good move for the Royals. I probably imagine that he's going to end up getting flipped at the deadline, especially if the Royals are not competitive. You've seen the Royals do this before. Sign veteran pitchers, flip them at the deadline. This seems like what they're going to do with Yarbrough, especially if they're not competitive, which they shouldn't be. They're still not a very competitive team. Although, again, the AL Central is basically up for grabs. Anybody who's trying to win it probably can, although Cleveland is definitely the best team. They're actually trying to win it. It's a little bit late at night. I'm just, my brain's all over the place because for the last 2 hours, I thought the Mets could sign Carlos Correa, and then he signed a monster mega deal with the Giants. Last thing I'll talk about in today's video, because I really don't think there's been any other moves to talk about, is there's this weird rumor that the Braves maybe try and trade Max Fried this offseason. Buster Olney did tweet that they're not entertaining offers, so I believe Jim Callis on MLB Network was mentioning that don't be surprised if you hear Max Fried's name in trade rumors. I don't know why they would do this. He's really good. He's one of the better pitchers in baseball. He doesn't become a free agent until 2025. He's relatively cheap. I know the Braves are spending more money, like big quotations around spending more money, because they're really not spending that much, let's be honest. I don't believe this one as much, but I thought I'd talk about it because it's being thrown around there. In all seriousness, has there been a more exciting MLB offseason that we can think of recently? Remember when Bryce Harper and Manny Machado went deep into the offseason before they signed? And those guys are Hall of Fame generational type players? Now we're throwing contracts out left and right to every single player, and I absolutely love it. This is so much fun. I love making videos at midnight, 11:30, talking about moves that are happening, even if it doesn't go to the Mets. I'd love to know your guys' opinion on the Carlos Correa move down in the comment section below. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Is it an overpay? What are you thinking? If you did enjoy the video, please do drop a like on it. It really does help support my channel, as well as subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the content, as well as the 12 days of MLB rankings that starts tomorrow, or I guess on the 14th if you were watching this, of December. We're starting it off with catchers. Keep an eye out for that, 7 p.m. Eastern. Follow me on all my social media at GiraffeNeckMarc. Links are in the description. You know the drill from here on out, guys. YouTube recommends you watch this video. This is my most recent upload. Click through those if you have not yet seen them. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow for another video.